Hello everybody, so this is going to be a 4.4 tier list. I recorded a video before, but it ended up being like an hour and a half long, and I figured that was like boring. So the reason it was so long though is because most people when they make their tier list videos, they don't bother explaining why. So this is going to be like a speed run of the tier list, and I'm going to try to get the reasonings why things are good in the meta and what their kits do and all that fun stuff all in this video and have it not be like incredibly long. So buckle up, we're gonna go fast. So yeah, I was gonna do like tanks, then DPS, then supports, but you know, screw it, we'll organize this after, so don't take your screenshots yet. So Andrew, B+, kinda sucks right now. Meta is double support. He can't really like do too much. He's good because he counters blasters. He has good matchups into blasters. Maybe not like hard counters, but he has good matchups. So if you want to pick like a Willow, which is really strong right now, you take Andy. But overall, kinda dookie. He's only really here because he has some really good matchups and people happen to be really good at him. Most games, you're not really going to see this guy played, but when you do need to set up for something, he's really good. Ash going in A+. Alright, starting off strong with these really good pronunciations. This is something I'm really known for, is talking really clearly. So, Ash is like a really strong off-tank right now. So, she's very, very aggressive. She's probably the best off-tank in the game, if there weren't two of them that are like completely busted right now. So, she's really good. Good consistent damage. Her damage isn't great in double support, but like her ult is really good. She has shield. Like Europe has this weird big shield thing. She's just like really good, really aggressive, strong off-tank and stuff. Alice is going to be an SS, only character in SS in the game. I think he's the strongest character in the game. He just gives you like good tank matchups. He bullies other tanks really, really hard. He has good damage. He has pick potential. He has like a really good shield. He has two viable talents. He can run big shield on pretty much an ult every fight. So like, he's just really, really good. He just wins off-tanks. He has the best off-tank matchups in the game. He bullies DPS. It's crazy. This character is insane. Survives good. Literally pick him everywhere. He can't really push it too aggressively sometimes, but like, if you want Atlas, you just like, he'll win you the game if you play slow. Barrack. So Barrack is going in A+. A+? Oh, I don't have S tier on here. Okay, hold up. Okay, that looks good. Fine. Okay, so Barrack is one of the better main tanks in the game right now. He's good, he lives, he does good damage, he has really good ult for surviving. He's just solid, right? So you're gonna be saying this guy most games if you want a main tank. He's good on wider maps, because spoilers, Term is probably the best main tank of the game in shorter maps, but he doesn't really need much healing, he has good damage, so he has a niche, he's good, solid main tank. BK is going in C+, so oh, I don't have C+ in here either. Oh my god, hold up, I really should have looked at this. Wow, this is incredibly scuffed. So, BK, right, C+. Now that we have a C+ tier, BK is going in it. So, this character kind of depends on servers a little bit, right? Which kind of sucks, because all of a sudden, it's just a coin flip whether you're going to have a good BK game or not. But, you know, if you want a solid blaster, he's just a fundamentally good blaster. He's big AoE damage. He's maybe not going to punch through double support, but his ult definitely will. So, he's strong in some situations, but again, it's just servers that kind of screw him over, because it's always going to be a risk to pick this character. So, like, are you really going to take that coin flip over something maybe a bit more consistent? So, he's good. He still has his good blaster maps, but servers just kind of screw him over, and double support also just... Why would you pick a DPS? We can go double support, am I right? So, Buck is also going to C+. Buck has a niche of being an anti-flank right now. However, flanks are kind of garbage, so you don't really need to pick an anti-flank, because the flanks don't exist. But if you do need an anti-flank, Buck is there, and he's going to do the job really well. And that's really where Buck is. Cassie going in B. I think Cassie is a little overrated right now, I'm not gonna lie. I think she's been power crept a little bit. There's a lot of more specific backline DPS you can take that, you know, do more specific things better. She doesn't particularly do well with this sort of high sustained meta that we have right now. She's fine, but she's not really more than fine. Megaton is dumb and stupid and could probably be the reason that you might put her in a higher tier, but other than that, she's just good, and in a meta like this that's sort of power creepy, you don't really have anything super specific that you do, good is all you're gonna get. Corvus. So Corvus is going in C, or hold up, C+, aha! So I think this character, most people put this character in D, I put this character in C+, because I think he has a niche in aggressive double support comps. So Corvus has two weaknesses right now. One, pockets are kind of garbage, because pockets, even if you pocket something, it's not really going to live for as long. It's not going to be able to pop off, because, again, stuff is so sustainy. Everything is sustainy. Everything is getting pocketed. and 2, his damage is like... Sorry, his healing is less than the other supports. Double support kind of, you know, plays to his strengths, and his strengths are his ult is really good in being aggressive, and his mobility is really good at being aggressive. And he has 1,000 DPS, which is pretty cool. So if you're playing in aggressive double supports, you can slap a mark on 2 things, still get value out of the mark, right? You can still get value out of those pockets, and you're running double support, and you have good damage, and you have a good ult, and you have a support who can participate in really aggressive fights. So into some matchups like Khan and Koa, like this character will put out consistent damage. He's actually a surprisingly good wrecker, despite wrecker not being so good, but that's his niche. Don't really pick him out of that. You can maybe work him, make him work in triple DPS, but other than that, like, C+, he has like a tiny niche that he's pretty good at. Dredge. Dredge is like, what if Cassie poked bad, but had like insane AoE damage? So the issue with Dredge is that you don't really need insane AoE damage a lot of the time. It's really inconsistent damage too. It's more spam, it's more area denial than damage. So it's cool and all, but you don't really need that a lot of time. And his poke is good, his sustain is good, but he's outclassed in that, right? He's not meant to be a super heavy backliner. There are other things that do that job better. He can do it, he can poke. He's okay, I think he's maybe a little underrated right now. And you can make him work, he's not awful. But this tier list, I want to make this clear, isn't a power level tier list. It's a tier list of how often things are the best option. So like, if you have a good Buck game, Buck is gonna pop off. If you have a good Dredge game, Dredge is gonna pop off. If you have a bad Ashe game, Ashe is gonna feed. But you're gonna have a good Ashe game a lot more often than you're gonna have a good Dredge game. But Dredge is fine in his niche, he's pickable. He's not always the best option in his niche, but he's good, and that's why he's in C. Drogue's good. Yeah, words are hard. Drogue is going in B. Why did I decide to talk so fast for this video? Drogue is going in B. So first of all, I think Combustible is a scam. I think in this meta, the sort of damage that Combustible does is just feeding ult charge to the enemy supports. You're not actually going to kill anything with Combustible. But Worm and the threat of Worm and the fact you can set up for Worm a little bit is just so strong. Like, even though double support is really obnoxious, Drogue will, you know, free spam. Nothing really wants to deal with that. So just because of Worm, he is in B. Eevee. Eevee's a character who is going in C+. Eevee is only in C++ because of the situations around her. Eevee as a character is perfectly fine and could like go like up here, maybe here? I don't know. The servers suck, which means that picking Eevee is a risk, just like BK, and this meta sucks for Eevee. Some of the strongest things, right, this super sustainy, super CC heavy, super bulky, just backlines that she has to deal with, dude, she's not gonna do anything into them. So if you get a good Eevee game, she'll do really well. She's still a really good character, and if you get a good server, she'll do fine. But those are really rare, and it's inconsistent, and it's like sort of a coin flip, and it's usually just not worth it. You'd rather pick almost anything else. Fernando. So Fernando has like a niche where he can sort of just like sit on point and live, but that's like all he does. You can pick him there, and like he'll live, he'll do his thing, he'll hold up shield forever, but that's all he does. Usually you want your main tank to do a little bit more than just live. So he's got his ult, which is cool, which makes him really good on ice mines, but other than that, like, he just lives. He just lives. So Furia. Fury is going in S. If you get a good Furia game, it's going to be stupid. Like, Exterminate is stupid. You just kill things. You hit them with a beam, and then they die. Gameplay. So, like, if you get this character on her good maps, she's 100% pick ban rate, I think. She's stupidly good. Double support is stupidly good. She's stupid. She's very stupid, and her ult is good, and her damage is good, and her sustain is good, and it's just, like, again, stupid, right? Cherish might go to, like, B+, honestly, because you do get good Cherish games, but, like, why would you not just play Exterminate? And Cherish is, like, fine if you want to play super aggressive, but being super aggressive is kind of rare right now, so everything with this more sustainy things sort of having better numbers than the more aggressive things, so a good Exterminate game, or a good Cherish game rather, is kind of rare. Grok. Okay, so despite the stealth nerf that he got with Totemic Ward no longer applying the 30% bonus healing, this character is still stupid. It's like Exterminate, but it doesn't have the CC. It's better healing, it's good damage, and it's a fight-winning ult. And there you go, that's all you need. It's like, this character, like, you can talk about how to beat this character and how this character has weaknesses like range, like Fury has weaknesses in range too, but with Grok, like, it doesn't matter, because you just heal it up. Well, okay, I'm gonna pick like a Canessa, I'm gonna free fire, well, he's gonna heal it up, doesn't matter. Okay, I'm gonna pick like I'm gonna get on top of him, I'm gonna dive, well, he's gonna heal it up. It's like, doesn't matter. It straight up does not matter, because this character is so overstated. He just has so much healing, he has good damage, he's stupid. Again, there's a lot of stupid stuff in S tier. Speaking of stupid stuff in S tier, the holy trinity of supports this patch, we're putting Grover. So Grover's thing is that he can contest DPS really well. He's gonna farm DPS, eventually. He's gonna get picks, he has... you know, he has good sustain, he can solo heal, or he can play in double support because his damage is really good. But, like, I don't know, he will win every DPS matchup in the game right now currently, just because of his sustain, which, I mean, wasn't necessarily untrue before, but now it's just, like, even more valuable because you get the advantage of being able to run double support and just have enough numbers to just cheese your way through any situation. His ult is also, like, insane. Like, his healing is good. His ult charge is faster this patch, which is... I don't know why they decided to buff this character, which is... I don't know. So, Grover, S tier, you want this guy, like, almost every game. And I would probably say every game now. Like, I considered putting him in SS, but... I don't know, man. You could put this character in SS and I wouldn't disagree. Amani. Where's Amani? Amani's in C tier, so... Amani is sort of like a backline DPS who doesn't do backline DPS. She has two really strong abilities in her Inferno Cannon and her Ice Pump. Like her Volleyball and her Fun Beam. And those are really strong, but the issue is that like when you're not using those abilities, you're not doing anything. And when you are using those abilities, you're pretty predictable and you're pretty easy to play around. So this character is good. They are playable, but I think they're very niche and I don't think you're going to be seeing them in a lot of situations. There was that cool play in PGCT with the nosy dragon that like 3v1 or 1v3'd and like won them a mid, and he was like the last guy alive, and it was really cool. But honestly, I think this character is good. I think they're playable, but I just don't see it right now, and they're niche if anything. Inara. So Inara's going in B+, same tier as Fernando. I think that Inara is not worth picking most of the time. She just straight up does not survive as well as she used to. She doesn't necessarily have the damage. She's usually just outclassed by other main tanks. Or you might as well just go double off tank or something. The one situation where I think Inara is good is when you have a lot of healing. So, like, if you have, like, you know, just a lot of healing, and you can afford to pump that healing into the Inara, then Inara's good, because then she can, like, survive well. It does enable her really well. If you can put a lot of healing into Inara, she pretty much just returns to her old state, her pre-nerf, so she's good, but you do need a certain comp to play around her, and she is kind of map dependent a little bit, but again, it's more so the comp. Io is like, there's almost no reason to pick this character. So remember how we said pockets were like not great, because even if you do pocket something, it's unlikely that it's actually going to kill stuff. So Io is a pocket. That's the only thing that she brings right now. She brings nothing else aside from like weeb bait and that and DR. Like, she brings weeb bait and DR. So if you do have a game where you can pocket something, like let's say they have a Lex or a Tyra or a Willow or whatever, and you can like hard pocket them, and if you hard pocket them, they'll kill everything, then you pick Io. You go DR, you hard pocket that thing, and they go kill everything. There you go. That's her niche. She doesn't do anything outside of that. There's no reason to pick her outside of that. Genos. So first of all, Genos is like... Luminary might be down here, maybe even down here, because again, pockets are bad and you're losing out on so much healing. Binary, on the other hand, is usually the second bit in double support comps. So if you have like a Grover or something and you're like, yo, we want to go double support because the healing, the numbers are good, and it just lets us do things, you know, so the healing just enables so much right now, and we want something that just like fills out double support really well, rounds it out really well. Genos will do that. He'll bring extra healing, he'll bring really good sustain, he'll bring a decent ult if you're good with it, and it's just good damage. That's what he is. He rounds out double support with good damage. That's his niche, that's really all he does, but he does that well. And it's a pretty common niche too, because double support is so strong. Khan is probably the only tank in the game that could even remotely begin to contest Atlas. He has good damage, good survivability, and his ult is a free kill. His ult is a kill, so... that's something. And yeah, he does have good matchups into Ashe and Mikola and Ruckus and Rom and maybe not, I don't know Yag too much, but into Ashe and like the other off tanks. He has good matchups into the other off tanks because remember they buffed his damage for no goddamn reason a while ago. So probably the second best off tank in the game. But I mean, he does kind of suffer with range, but like honestly, that's like not the biggest deal. He's good in almost every game. You want him almost every game if you can't get Atlas, and most of the time you can't get Atlas. Kanessa going in B+, so free snipers are always good, even with double support. Like, you know, they do a lot of damage, you know, she's free, but there's a lot of things in the game, maybe not flanks, but a lot of off tanks that can get on top of her, and that kind of sucks for her. There's a lot of things that just heal through her damage, or can take extended fights with her because they have so much healing. So she's good, she's really good, but you don't want her every game. But when you can get her, she's good, and that's kind of just like B+ in it as a that's kind of just B+ in general. Koga, so I don't think Koga's worth picking. I know Bitey's probably gonna disagree with this one, but like, come on, man. This character does no damage. It doesn't even matter what the rest of the stuff does because he has no damage. There you go. That's Koga. No damage. His ult is like not good. His survivability is like okay. He doesn't have damage. I don't know. Speaking of not having damage, I mean Lux has damage, I guess, but really, what do you want with Lux? Like, what? I guess console, right? Like, this is PC, right? This is a PC tier list, I'm not gonna lie. Like, it probably applies a little bit to console, but I don't know where Lux goes if this is a console, to be completely honest with you. But Lux on PC, there's better options. Even if you can get an okay Lux game, he's not worth picking. Like, just picks anything else. The character just, like, is not scary. Again, the damage is, like, sure, but the mobility is, like, not fantastic. He can get chased. It's just, pick anything else, man. Pick anything else. Leon. So Leon's going to the same tier as Cassie, where it's like, cool, they're a backliner. Leon does slightly worse into tanks and slightly better into DPS than Cassie, especially at range. But other than that, she's pretty much like just Cassie. And there's like this whole alacrity nonsense running around that I think is a bit overrated, I'm not gonna lie. But, I mean, that's another way you can play her. She does okay into like tank dive, apparently. So, that's a niche that she has. But again, solid backliner, nothing special. So, B. She's good. But, you know, she's just okay. Maeve. Maeve is going in A tier, so I think Maeve is the best aggressive flank in the game. And sometimes you do want an aggressive flank. I think that the reason that she's not B tier is because she is, by far, the best at her role, right? Nothing is going to do super aggressive flank like Maeve is going to do it. So having like the ult, having the burst, the servers are not great. But yeah, like if you just want like a Ruckus or something, yeah, you round it out with a Maeve, and it'll do really well. I think she's strong, I think she's in a good spot. She doesn't do well if you're not being very aggressive, because again, double support, not super great. But if you do need quick, bursty follow-up on an aggressive play, Maeve is really good at that. Makoa, so Makoa's gonna go, oh, do I want to put this guy in A+ or B? Or A+ or A, because I have him in A+ in this tier list that I originally have. Like, honestly, I think Ashe is just a bit better, but, not by much. So, I think, first of all, the only way to play this guy is half shell. You don't play half shell for the Makoa, you play half shell for the DPS that's behind you, so that your half shell lets your DPS peek and shoot things for free. If Makoa is shooting for free, cool, whatever. If the DPS is shooting for free, that's another story, and that's what half shell lets you do. The hook is cool and all, and like being able to dive is cool and all, but honestly, dude, just the shield is really, really good. So, like, you could probably run the Vive and get away with it and whatever, but I think half shell is better. So, he's cool. He's just kind of a hook. He's a shield and he's a hook. Really? That's it. His damage is okay. His ult's not great. His ult's not great. Imagine telling someone a few years ago that Koa ult wasn't great. He's good. He's good as an off tank, and like, yeah, he doesn't have that much, but the things that he does have is really, really good. So, A+. Damba. Damba is the best solo support in the game. That's a lie. Grover is better because Grover is just kind of stupid. Damba is the second best solo healer in the game. So, he is everything that you could ever want in a solo support, though. He is damage, he is CC, he is good healing, he is aggression, survive everything pretty much if you're good enough. Like, his ult, he's just so versatile and he's so good at everything if you're good with Damba. So, if you want a solo support, man, like, sometimes some other things will be better if it's like a really niche situation, but most of the time, dude, just pick Damba as a solo support and you're good to go. Moji's going in F tier. Even if she's free, like, I honestly do not care. This character just does. Like, the only reason they were good in the first place, right? Like, Moji's kit is kind of garbage, right? So unless you're either, like, high on Adderall, or, like, I don't know, even if you are, dude, like, the only reason the character was good is because her damage was insane. And they kind of nerfed her damage. And congratulations, it's like, well, she had one thing going for her, it's gone, the character is dead. there's never a situation where you want Moji. If you have a Moji on your team, you're at a disadvantage, and you can win with this character. But you shouldn't. You should not win with this character. Pip. So Pip has two ways that you can play him, right? You have Callus and you have Combat Medic. You can probably get away with Mega Potion on like Ice Mines, maybe, but even then, I wouldn't do that. Callus is like okay. It's not really a part of double support meta because Pip doesn't do that much healing, even with Catalyst. So he's a bit more selfish with his heal usually. He likes to keep it for duels. But his damage is good. His ult is good because you can actually kill things with his ult, which is pretty uncommon in this meta because everything just frickin' lives. But yeah, he's okay. He's pickable. I don't see him that often. I'm not gonna lie, but I think he's good. If you're playing Combat Medic, then he's sort of like a different Domba. Like Domba ult doesn't do as well into tanks. Pip ult will always farm tank. That's pretty much the difference between the two. Pip is also a little more niche. Like he struggles a bit in keeping up with aggressive teams. He struggles on some maps with some comps, so he's a bit more niche. But you can get a good Pip game, and he can farm tanks. He's gonna farm tanks. His ult is just so good. His healing is really good. I think it's hard underrated, but yeah, he's just a slightly different Domba. Rama's going in A tier, so I think if you have like 1 to 2 counters for this guy, that's not enough. He's still going to be able to do work, he's still going to get into the backline, he's still going to take space, he's still going to do damage. He has a harder time killing things now, and if you do have like 3-4 counters, he's just going to feed his brains out, because he's not actually going to be able to get in. But if you can get a Rama into the backline, even if he can't get out, he's still going to do space, he's still going to do damage, his ult is still good, and he's hard to kill, even if he's not going to kill anything back. And if you do get him free, then he's really, really good. So I think the character's nuts. I think he's being hard underrated right now. If you can get a decent ROM game, he's really, really good in my opinion. He does have some poor matchups, but if he doesn't have those poor matchups, he's really good, and it's pretty frequent that he does have a good game. Ruckus. I think Ruckus is really good right now, despite not being able to kill anything early game, and kind of needing a comp to be aggressive with him, because if he goes in alone now, he really isn't getting trades, because who likes sustaining metas? Yeah, he needs a team comp kind of based around him, but if you do have that sort of aggressive team comp based around the Ruckus, he's crazy. He does burst, he kills things. It's good. Just don't pick him solo, and don't expect him to do that well early game. Ceres. So, Ceres I think is stupid, but she's honestly only B+. Ceres' thing is that she does a heck ton of healing, but if your team is super spread out, like you have a flank and a main tank and an offlane, she's gonna struggle to keep everything alive later on in the game. Early game, she'll keep whatever alive. She'll keep anything alive through anything. She's stupid early game. But once you get to, caught twos and threes, she struggles at keeping teams that are more split alive. But if your team is playing more together, more grouped up, on like a Jag Falls or a Frog Isle sort of thing, Ceres is stupid. She will just output the most healing in the game if your team is grouped up. That being said, she really only has healing. Her ult is good, her spam is okay, even though it was nerfed significantly this patch with Spirit Leech nerf that that was like a shadow nerf. That's not what I like to see. But her spam was nerfed. Her ult is like an extended Makoa hook, which is still really good. It's just not really ult worthy. But yeah, you just pick her for her healing. If you just want like an obnoxious amount of healing in one area as a solo support, because again, she doesn't bring anything to the table, so you're not going to pick her in double support. So, well, she doesn't bring enough to the table to warrant picking her in double support, but if you just want like insane amounts of healing in an area, just pick Ceres. Shaw. So Shaw's like, he's got good damage, and he's pickable. You pick him if the other team is like absolutely just gets farmed by cripples. And other than that, no, he's kind of outclassed, right? You want Cassie, you want Leon, you want Tiger, you want Genos, you want Grover, honestly. There's better backline DPS than him, but his cripple is a thing that he has. So if the other team is like Rom, Eevee, and I don't know, like Alacrity, Leon, then yeah, Shaw will do really well into that. But other than that, not really. Skye. So Skye is B+ in my opinion. I think this character is kind of underrated. If you get a good Skye game, dude, like you just play like Skye plus a tank. You shred the other team's tanks to keep your tanks alive. It's kind of a part of double support meta. She is very, very good. There are some times where she's not going to do very good, like into Shields, into Tyra, into Vora, into Willow, into, I don't know, like some Cassie, Jenna. Like, she has poor matchups. They're not hard counters per se, but she does have poor matchups, so you're not going to play her every game. But if you do get a good game for Skye, she's going to hard pop off, dude. This character is really, really good. Strix. So Strix has a singular niche. You can play him as a counter sniper to Kinessa. Nothing else. He doesn't have the damage to be played as anything else. Right? You'd rather have any other DPS because they just do more damage and survive better. But into Kinessa, he can sort of keep the Kinessa busy while your team has a little bit of a 4v4, and he's good at that. He'll do fine in that situation if that's what you want. Other than that, don't pick him. Talus, I don't think he just struggles, dude. Like, he's sort of in the Eevee situation where he wants to go in and gets farmed by like stuff that just outtrades him or just lives or cripples, and wow, that's what this meta has. So, not an awful character, just this meta kind of screws him really, really bad. So, combine that with his numbers actually not even being that good. Yeah, no, this character is not fantastic. Term. So Term is the best main tank in the game, except for a few situations, but those few situations are usually like when the other team is like really spread out or when you're on a really spread out map. If you're not, Term is the best main tank in the game. He takes healing really, really well, so he does really well with this meta, and that's really it. Like, he's so beefy. He survives for really long. He has good tank matchups. Honestly, the biggest thing between him and the other tanks is how well he takes healing. Like, you can pick double support or solo support, and there's just so much healing right now that Term will take it alive. And like, Inara is sort of like that too, but Term needs like less healing, and he can do more with that healing. So, just insane character, good numbers, good meta for him. Really strong right now. Tiger. Tiger is one of the best backline DPS right now. He has good damage. He goes through shields and stuff. He can be aggressive with his ult. It's like a good situation for him. He can spam around corners, which is obnoxious as hell, and I mean, it's useful. He struggles into double support because, again, backline DPS are sort of not fantastic right now. They're sort of just outclassed, and their damage gets healed up, and it's just not great, which is why it's not really higher. But he has good sustain, he has good damage. It's just, you know, he's the best of a class that's kind of bad right now, you know? Like, if this was a different meta, he'd probably be really high. But, you know, double support, sucks to suck. Go next. Torv. Torv is... oh god. I have Torv at C, but I honestly don't know like what his niche would be, so we're gonna put this guy at D, actually. If you pick this character in ranked, it is going to be bad. So, if you were talking like full competitive paladins with like scrims and, you know, actually good players and teamwork and coordination and comms and all that good stuff, Torv might be like rediscovered and all that, but honestly, dude, like in ranked right now, this character is absolute crap. Like, you need coordination to pull it off, to pull the pockets off, and even again, it doesn't matter that you pocket something because everything pockets everything right now. Nothing dies. Like, you pocket a BK or a Tyra or whatever, and like the team's like, yeah, we have that much sustain too, but on everybody. So it just doesn't matter, right? Like, you could maybe pick him to deter aggression, but everything deters aggression because him pocketing things isn't anything out of the ordinary anymore. He's awful. Could maybe make a comeback if the comp scene came back and people tried him, and maybe, who knows, like, Torv coming back from the dead happened once before, so who knows, but like, right now, just don't bother. Also, he's just an awful character to play, so don't play him. Tyra. So Tyra has pretty much, like, she's almost like the opposite of Tiger. Like, she's in a good spot too, she has good numbers, but it's a really good meta for her. So she does really good shield break. She does really good into a lot of the strong tanks right now. And she's just bulky. She is so tanky, it is so hard to kill a Tyra right now. She just lives, man. She just lives. She just lives and she shoots tanks and she's bulky, and that's all you really want in this meta. She's good damage and she lives. That's what you want. Tyra's like the perfect DPS for this meta. I mean, maybe not the perfect DPS, but she's up there, you know? So, just really, really good this meta. Lives forever, good damage. Victor. Victor is like, hey, what if we had good damage, but it like didn't matter because it all got healed up, right? So I know, you know, I said like combustible drogue was like a bit of a bait. I think Victor is also a bit of a bait because, again, all of his damage just kind of gets healed up. But if you get a game where, you know, maybe the team is running solo support, maybe like a solo Domba, and you just want like a crap ton of damage pouring out from your backline, then Victor will do just fine, right? You can pick Tiger for that, or you can pick Kinessa, or you could even pick Tyra, but Victor will do that just fine. It's a niche that he has. But, you know, again, he's just damaged from the backline, and that's really all that he brings. And that's okay, but it's not enough to put him more than C+. Speaking of only damage from the backline, we have Vivian, and Vivian is like, hey, what if Victor had less damage? So this character, again, it's just, they're extremely one-dimensional. They only have damage, even more so than Victor, right? Which is just stupid if you think about it. But yeah, so like even in her good matchup, like if the other team is like Barrack and Khan, you're like, oh yeah, this would be a theoretically good Vivian game. Then you pick her and like, well, this character has no damage, and it's all getting healed up, and she only has damage, so it doesn't matter. She's just bad. Like don't pick this character, honestly. Willow is really good right now. So Dead Zone actually lets you kill things. You can kill things with Dead Zone, which is like crazy. It gives you windows of opportunity to kill things. And she's got like good area denial, and good spam damage, and good poke, and good survivability with her DR cards and her HP cards. She lives really good. Like, I never talk about like Andro setting up for Willow, setting up for Blasters, right? But like honestly, Andro into Willow isn't even that bad. So she's good. Her ult is also fantastic because it basically just lets you play Worm Drogue for a little bit and just get like really good off angles, and that's strong. And it's just again a really good meta because Dead Zone lets you know, kill things. Being able to kill things is pretty good in my opinion. So, good damage, good stats, and fits really well with the meta because she gives you an opportunity to kill things. Ying! So Ying is going to be C+. Ying has a niche as like the backup support. So if you want, you know, a healer, and all the other healers are gone for some reason, or they're all bad, you can pick Ying. You can pick Ying pretty much anywhere, and she'll do absolutely fine. She's perfectly okay. It's just that in most games she's outclassed, but she's never like bad anywhere. She's never bad anywhere unless she's into Grok, because you never want to give Grok a free Maelstrom game, dude. If you give Grok a Maelstrom game this patch, you feel like you just lose. Like you just pick Maelstrom and then like victory appears on your screen. So Ying is just, if you need a support, you don't know what to pick Ying, and she'll do absolutely okay. It's just most of the time you're not going to pick Ying because there's other stuff that's better. If you need to pick Ying, she'll do absolutely fine. Xin is gonna go. Honestly, dude, honestly, we put this guy in B. So I think Xin is fine. He just lives. He has his damage is like whatever, right? He's like, you're trading some damage in an ult for survivability, and that's okay in this meta. Like there are other things that do it a little bit better. So like he's just survivability, his mobility, a little bit of damage, and a not super fantastic ult, but it's okay. So the character's fine. Like. You run Yomi, you don't run Guillotine anymore. I don't think Guillotine at 125% would be good this meta because there's so much damn healing, but you can run Yomi, you do poke, you do damage, you just live. So if that's what you want, man, Xin is absolutely fine at that. Vora is like another one of those DPS where this is just her meta, man. It's percentile damage, so it actually like, she actually does damage. It's an execute ult, which means, you know, you can just kind of go through some of that sustain, and she sustains really well. So she fits in really well because, again, you want to live, you want to do poke, you just want to live. You just want to poke, deal damage, and your mobility doesn't really matter as much. So, but like it kind of does it for her though, because she can sustain those off angles, and she can do damage, and she can escape from everything. So she doesn't necessarily need to go in to get value out of flanking, which is really good this meta because it means that you can flank. Whereas something like a Eevee or a Maeve, they kind of do need to go in at some point, otherwise it's just going to get poked out. Not with Vora, she'll just off-angle for free and kill things. She can also go in, she's not bad at being aggressive, it's a thing she can do. Just another, I don't know, this character is just really, really good right now. Yagraf is going in A tier. I think this character is kind of underrated right now. It's like Rom, but works in more situations. So, you're not playing this character as a main tank. I think main tank Yagraf is kind of a bait. Like, you're not going to do anything on point. You're just going to sit there and like either win the point or not. And it's like, well, that's kind of boring. And you shouldn't really win point because realistically, you're just going to get farmed. So, but you know, if you do dive the backline, not much can stop you. You're just kind of you know, again, you're like 10,000. You're putting 10,000 HP in the back line with an extra like 4,000 or 5,000 in the back pocket, right? So the character's good at being aggressive, good mobility, lives, again, takes healing really, really well. I think they're just underrated right now, honestly, man. I think a lot of people aren't super insane at this character, but I think they're good. So good character. Octavia's in B+. Now, I've heard that her passives, like her CDR passives and her ult charge passives, don't work. So if they did work, maybe she go up a tier, or 2, who knows. But they don't work, and those are her 2 best passives, because they kind of gutted credits, from what I can tell, and the shield one just isn't good. So she's fine, she's backline DPS, but her strength really comes from her passives. So she has good backline damage, right? She shreds tanks. But like, you know, look at what in the tier with her, right? You have Tiger, you have Kinessa, and stuff above her, you have like Vora, Tyra, Willow, like shredding tanks isn't special. So she has good damage, she's vulnerable to flanks. Her ult is like cool, it's area denial. But it's like hard to justify putting her anywhere because, again, like anywhere higher, because people haven't like tested her too much. Her passives don't work. So, cool character, does her thing. I'm curious where she'll land once she starts working. Vatu, if I had to put Vatu somewhere right now, it might be C+. So, I think this character is really good. I think it's sort of an Eevee situation, where the servers suck, and you can't go in right now. You could maybe make a case for having this guy play like a sustainy, like Vora sort of style, but again, like, I don't know. This character is new, so it's hard to tell. I don't think it'd be his meta though, but we'll see once he comes into ranked what the meta's like. Anyhow, here is the complete tier list, organized all nicely with tanks supports, or tanks DPS supports. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hopefully it wasn't too long. And I hopefully explained stuff well enough, and it's a cool video and it's entertaining, and you should like subscribe to Twitch and all that good stuff, and like watch content, because I think I make cool content and I have like an actual schedule that I release videos on, which I think is cool. A lot of people don't do that, so it's just like dude, having a schedule is hard. Like, oh no, content creator, but like, man, schedules suck. And giving yourself schedules, dude? What was I thinking? Anyhow, I do have a schedule though. Upload every Saturday, stream every night at 8 EST, so that's cool. I don't know why I'm talking about this. This makes me sound really weird, so I hope you guys enjoyed. And I'll see everybody in the next video. I don't even know actually if I'm going to be releasing this video on a Saturday, because I kind of want to get it out soon. Anyhow, bye-bye.